Hi, good evening, everyone. So, this is just like a little impromptu midweek weekly roundup. Now, I know, over the last couple of weeks, I've kind of been a little distracted and, you know, concentrating on things that are of no consequence, actually. But, that's all in hand. So, back to business. So, while I was preoccupied, but at the same time I was watching stuff, and I saw something that was kind of bothering me, and I thought, what's going on? Now, the name of this show is Tom Lavecchia friend or foe? Let me go to the comments first and say hi to everybody. I'm sorry about that. I'm terrible. Hi, Jane, David S. Cameron, good to see you back. Finally, huh? There were a million of you roaming around. I had like several of you in my thing. Linda Amsterdam, Carol, Minnie the Moocher, Seymour, how are you? Uh, Brittany, how are you? Carol, Jane. Okay, so let's get down to it. So, this isn't going to be a long one, but it's something that I did want to talk about. Hold on one second. Let me get this up here. Then, hold on. Okay, right. So then I can look at the other chat because these two chats are different. Anyway, so okay, here's what happened. So I was watching, and I guess my question is Tom Novicky a friend or foe? That's the name of this show, and I named it that because I was seeing some pretty disturbing things, and I was questioning it because it just didn't kind of make sense to me. Here's the thing: I've always kind of liked Tom. I didn't have anything, against him. I've done a few shows with him, and then I thought, is he doing all this skullduggery, behind the scenes? And then I thought, well, it's only right that Tom be heard because basically what we're hearing is one side. We're not hearing, his side, and I haven't seen him say anything about it. And I just think it's something to talk about. Now I have questions for him. I did call him. I gave him the courtesy of, if he wants to come on and, say his side if he wants to. If he doesn't have to. I'm just going to continue on with, what I've been seeing and what I'm hearing. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, 100, but here's the thing. So I guess the first question for Tom is, let me just check the chat. Yeah. Okay, so I'll continue. Anyway, I guess my first question for Tom is, was he behind the doxing of MRE? That's what I'm hearing. And I was quite surprised by that because I always thought they were amiable, they got along. I mean, they'd been on one another's shows, and I think there had been a little back and forth here and there, but not to the point of digging up all that stuff and giving it to people to put up and dox him. And what I'm hearing is he was behind all that. Now, whether that's true or not, like I said, I don't know. But if he was, I guess my next question is why? Why would you do that? Because I always thought Tom's channel was, he was trying to be like Vlad in a way, where he could have anyone on and be impartial. And I think that went left simply because he wasn't being impartial. He was kind of siding with guests, whatever side they're on or whatever. And I think it irritated a lot of people. And, here's what I think. I think when you're doing something that kind of show and you're dealing with these kind of people like ex-mobsters, whatever, ex-street people, ex-thugs, whatever you want to call them, you have to have like a balance. And I think part of that balance is you've got to be a little bit street smart and you've got to be a little bit book smart. And I think Tom is more book smart as opposed to being street smart. So when he's dealing with these people, and they befriend him, then he becomes their friend and whatever. I'll get to that other bit in a minute. I was kind of horrified by it, but, we'll get to that. Anyway, so I guess my first question is, did he dox MRE? Was he behind all that? And why? I don't think MRE had really done anything to him. I thought they got along okay. And I was kind of surprised by that. I always thought it was, the other people that did that. I never even equated it to Tom. I guess the next thing is, did you text Joey and ask how MRE is when the feds went to his house? Hold on just 1 second. Just a moment. Hang on. Oh my God, hang on. Okay, I'm sorry about that, people. I just texted the link. Sorry it took a minute. Can everybody hear me? Give me a 1 if you can hear me. Can everybody hear me? Oh my God. Okay. All right. Great. Okay. All right. Okay. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Josie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just in case if I have to step away, I have somebody in the hospital. So if I get a call out, I might have to jump off. But I wanted to jump on real quick.
Yeah. Did you hear the first question?
Yeah, and I can speak to this, and I said this many times, and it's really a shame that it's something that happened well over 2 years ago. When I had the old show, I always have been a content provider. I'm not a informant. I've never been involved with organized crime. I'm just a content creator. At the time, I had a show with John, and in MRE's chats, there was 2 individuals that were. I have a very simple rule: no threats, no family. Clean. no threats, no family. So there were consistent people in there
Mm-hmm.
that were making threats, implicit and explicit threats to me, not John, but to me.
Mm-hmm.
I contacted Murray. I said, hey, man, uh, I know you're doing the whole rat thing and all that kind of stuff. I'm a creator. I'm uncomfortable with this person. I'm uncomfortable with that person. It's getting a little too close to the sun for me. Just take care of it. We won't have a problem.
Well, did you think the threats were coming from MRE?
The threats were coming from two particular people in his chat. And I
Okay.
asked him, say, listen, you keep, and he would respond and encourage. I said, hey, man, listen, just get rid of them. Make sure, block them. Make sure they don't continue the threats, and we're good. And I was very upfront on the show. I was very upfront with him directly. I said, listen, I have a digital background. It's very easy for me to find who people are. I
Right.
don't know who you are. I don't know what type of threats I have going against me. And I said, please stop it, or I will need to find out who you are. I gave 3 warning shots. I called him. I messaged him. And I just wanted to simply to be left alone.
Right. So did you give that information to somebody else, though, to
Yeah.
dox?
So when I found out this information, I found out basic information, right?
Uh-huh.
Basic information. John was my partner at the time. So John only had a photo of him and not even his name. That's it. I didn't give his information. I didn't give him, and there's proof of that. And I think Angel wrote it in the chat.
Oh,
John Panisi posted something, and you could check if it's still on his community 6 to 8 months later after I found out who he was. So if I
right.
doxed MRE, I would have done it myself, or John would have did it much, much earlier. So I took the information, I buried it, because I spoke to MRE. We had a constructive conversation. That's why it's sad that we have to keep discussing this. He said,
Right.
listen, you have a family, you're a
Well, this is
content
the
creator.
first time I'm hearing it. I
Yeah.
didn't even know you had any involvement in that. I thought it was all, whoever over there.
No, this is very clean. I said it
Okay.
on the show at the time. I'm able
Oh,
to find out who you are. I will find out who you are because I need to protect my family. It's not a joke when
okay.
somebody's sitting there in the chat saying they're going to kidnap my daughter. It's not a joke.
Right.
And I'm
Okay.
tired of people saying and judging what I should gauge what's safe or what's not.
Right.
So
Right. So
I legitimately said, hey, man, listen, I did it publicly, and all this behind the scenes bullshit, I did it direct. I called him directly. I thought we had a good conversation. He's an Italian guy from Rhode Island. I didn't know a lot about his background at the time. And we said,
right.
you know what? We may not agree on outlook on stuff, but we're good. And proof of that is John later on
Yeah.
posted something on him. Like I think 3, 6, or 9 months later, after John and my show broke up, we no longer spoke. We haven't spoken since. So
Right.
that goes to show you that not only did I not dox MRE, that I did not, he didn't even have his right name. Trust me, if
Oh,
John had his right name and had his information, you don't think he would have posted it?
right. Oh, I don't know. I don't know him very well.
No. I'm going to go to I'm going to go to objective facts here. It was
Yeah.
posted at least 3, if not 6 months after the show disbanded.
Okay. So next question. I'll get through this quickly.
Yeah,
Did you text Joey about how his MRE? Were you involved in the feds going to his house?
absolutely not. And I'm going to send you the text. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
I'm sending you the text that I sent Joe. I am blocking out Joe's part, so I would never share with you what Joe wrote.
Right.
Send to your
Oh
text.
no, I mean you don't. I'm just asking because
No, I would never share what Joe wrote. Joe's a friend. I like Joe. He was at my house. He's been around my children. He's been around my wife. And I just sent you what I saw. I'm exercising. I'm walking in the park, so a little out of breath.
Right.
So I just sent you what the text was, and this is where it kind of gets really sad. My
Right.
son is name is Giuseppe. My
Yeah.
brother who passed, it was a Joseph, and in the Italian culture, Onomastico is your name day. It's also Father's Day in Italy. So St. Joe's Day is a very big deal for us as Italians, and
Right.
also my family in particular. So I
Right.
text Joe. I always text Joe every year, "Hey, happy St. Joe's Day," and I text him on Wednesday. So I text all the Joes that I know, and I
Right.
text him that Wednesday saying, "Hey Joe, happy St. Joe's Day. Did you get the pastries? Hey man, I miss you. Let's connect soon and come see the kids are getting big." And I think I sent them a picture of the baby or not. I
Right.
don't
Well,
know.
I'm reading the text. It says, "How are you checking in to see how you're doing?" It says, Well, happy belated Joe's Day. Got my son pastries on Sunday. Nice. He's connect soon as I miss hanging out. Our son is getting big, and so is Adeline. So that's what it says.
That's
So
it.
right. So next question. Did Maddie Madonna's daughter know before that interview that you were co-host with John Panisi, or that you were affiliated with him when her father's he's wasn't the only one, but he was a part of her father being where he is now.
Yeah.
Did
So
you know, or did you?
although I don't like talk too much about like guests in particular.
No,
But
you don't have to talk
no,
about her.
but
But
I can confirm. I can confirm the following. I was approached by her respectfully to come on the show, and in the opening message, she actually brought up Panisi that she wanted to set the record straight.
right, right.
And I'm not going
And
to send that.
so,
I'm not going to send that text without her permission, because I sent you what I wrote. You would need
right,
to see what she wrote. I would need her permission. But again,
right,
this is exactly what I mean. Um, the whole MRE thing is over 2 years ago. I
right.
interviewed
But it's
Racina
still like
respectfully,
it's
and
still
it's like,
circle.
and I try to give her a fair voice. I was empathetic. You can ask me any questions about
Well,
that.
here's the thing, Tom. When
Yeah,
here's what happened.
yeah,
I was watching Kane Shades, and he kept saying, "You know what you did, Tom. You know what you did." So I thought, well, what the hell did he do? And the show was still up, so I watched the show, and what I saw at the beginning was, she was talking about where her father is. I
yeah,
think it's disgraceful that they would put an 80-year-old sick man in Kentucky out of New York where he can't see his family.
yeah.
However, I do think 7 years is a long time. I might have scraped the money up by now. However, that's just my thoughts on it. However, it took a turn when you asked her, when you it seemed like you were defending Panisi, like, oh, there were several nails in the coffin. And,
So yeah, so
you know,
because we talked briefly before we went on the show, and then typically when you interview somebody, especially a lot,
I
like
lost him.
just out of
Sorry,
courtesy,
you went
right?
out.
Just
You
because
went out.
otherwise, oh,
I'm
can you
sorry.
hear me? Okay,
Yeah, I can hear you now. You went out for a
can you hear
minute.
me? Okay.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
now. Yeah.
No, so I talked to her briefly, then we jumped on the show. So it was all unscripted, it was all real, it was raw. So if you watch the show is very, how do I say this? It's very emotional. The gravity of the situation was extremely serious. It's a woman who misses her father, regardless of who he is.
Right.
And we
Right.
had a conversation. The only part that I commented on is she mentioned along the lines that he basically was the reason why he was there. And again, John and I don't speak. I don't speak ill of him. I don't speak ill of anybody. But the truth of the matter is, I just said, hey, I
Right.
personally felt that although he was a part of it, that he was not the main part of why he went away. That's what I said. If it came off differently than that, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it kind of did, because up until that point, I was thinking, oh no, and she got upset and she jumped off, and then when she came back on, she kind of just said she doesn't want to talk about father, she doesn't want to talk about the case, she doesn't want to talk about Panisi
That was my point.
specifically.
That was my point. It was an on the fly live, and we didn't discuss,
Right,
what was inbounds and what's outbound. So that's a very dangerous proposition,
right,
right? You may answer in a certain way that may offend, or she may share something that she didn't want to talk about. If she asked me, hey, I want to come on, but I do not want to discuss the case at all, I would have respected
yeah,
that. So it just was one of those things as a reaction that I had that I just didn't fully align with. Just gave my opinion.
right.
But again, overall, she got her message out, and that was the point.
Yeah, but the show's now down, so she kind of
No,
didn't.
no, it's on membership.
Did you
I
did you
took it off
edit
the.
it? I would have edited it, edit that bit out maybe.
No, no,
So
no, no.
oh,
It's
oh,
still up, but it's on. I moved it to membership because I might take it down
I
completely.
see.
Because yeah,
Okay.
again. So I just want to make the statement, and I don't know. I don't see the
Yeah, please
chat.
do.
So
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, I
Okay.
said go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Have a doing the
Hang
org.
on. Your sound is going in and out.
All right, hold on. Is this a little better now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I've been doing podcasting for a while,
Right.
and I hope Angel and or Chris Crasprose will back me up on this. When John Alite first came on my show, he said a lot of stuff and made a lot of claims immediately after the sugar daddy incident when he jumped in the water. So I reached
Right.
out to Angel, or I think Angel might even reach out to me. That he's
Mm.
a liar. He's this, he's that. So I said, okay, I want it to be fair balance. Would you or your brother come on? Obviously, they were not interested in coming on. So they actually had Chris Casparosa come on as their official formal representative. I did a
Right.
show with him, and Chris will tell you it was a disaster. We just had to redo it. It just was off.
Right. Which show are you referring to?
This goes back about like 6-7 years ago, where Chris Casparosa wanted to rebut what Johnny Alec did. So the
Okay.
show got re-recorded. I did it as a courtesy because I felt it was important to have the counter message on, and
Right.
he recorded a message that was really against what John Alite said. Fast forward a
Right.
few years later, John Alite did a show. I had Common Sense, where now I don't know what people think about him. Came on and said I have factual things that are incorrect about John's statement. I like to have
Right.
him on. I had him
Right.
on for over two. I had him. Hold on, Josie. I had him on for over 2.5 hours. So my
Wow.
point being is, if somebody approaches me respectfully and disagrees with one of my guests, they're welcome to come on and share their piece as a counterbalance. And the reason why I bring those 2 points up is I've always have tried to do that. Now people don't take me up on it because they think
Right.
I lean a certain way. And I just want to give one last point, because this
Uh-huh.
whole space, and I did a show how this space is really dwindling, and this is kind of why that we're
Right.
talking, even having a show about me on this, but that's another discussion.
Yeah.
Um, I My last 15 shows, I've had
Uh-huh.
one informant on, and that was a repeat guest that I wanted to get on a topic. So I've been slowly pulling away from having informants, not as a moral ideology. It's
Right.
just that they're a piece of my show. They're not the only piece. So people say I'm an enabler. People say
Do
that I'm
you
a
think
bad guy.
though? Do you think you took advantage of the daughter there, Maddie's daughter? Because a lot of people feel that you did.
Well, how do you feel?
Um, I'm impartial to it, to be honest. I when I watched the show, I didn't, I thought, oh, she's just talking about her father, and I thought you were
Yeah.
being, okay. It was just when it got to that point, I thought that's a bit dodgy,
Well,
and
you're welcome to your opinion. I rewatched the show. I did the show. I was as empathetic as I can be. I have no. It's really on my membership because I wanted to move it off the main, till I
yeah.
decided to do what I do with it. But I have no problem browning it out forever. If she feels any,
Tom,
hold on, Josie.
okay,
If
go
she
ahead.
feel, hold on. If she feels any type of way,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Any type of way, I would remove it, and she's yet to do that. Number two, this is the part that I'm struggling with, right?
Right.
I've always been the guy who everybody thinks is pro informant. I finally have somebody on who could speak from the other side, from the heart, and have an emotional plea to say, hey, you know what? I need help, or, this is what's going on. And I do that, and I get chastised for it. That's why I'm kind of moving on from the stuff. It's not
Right.
worth it. The
Yeah,
more
but
you
I think it
try,
was that. I think it was that moment was a pivotal moment that kind of ruined the whole thing and made people think, oh well, maybe you took advantage of her. But right
well,
now,
but here's the thing, though. If you listen to the whole show, her message was her father's being mistreated in jail, and that she's, pretty much left to her own devices, and
yeah,
she's doing
that's
her best. Like that's the message, regardless of any opinion that I have. That is, if I took away from that message, I apologize, but that was a clear message.
well, Jesse's here. He wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Do you mind him
Who's
coming
here?
on? Jesse.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hey Jesse.
Hi, Josie. How are you?
I'm
Tom
good.
Lavecchia. How are you?
Good, Jesse. I only got a minute or so because
Yeah.
I got
I
a call
just
from the
real quick.
hospital.
I just texted her. I just heard you saying that you've been doing this for a long time. You talked about gauging threats to your family. From a business standpoint, what would your advice be for current content creators or upcoming content creators on working with federal informants? On YouTube or any platform.
Well, I'll give you an example. Another creator, and I don't say his name, Josie.
Right.
actually made fun of me for hiring a security consultant. The part that he doesn't understand, that not from that person who threatened me, but another threat was done to do harm to somebody in my family. And I had a security consultant come in, and it was credible, and I got abused for that. So my suggestion is this. Obviously, I believe in free speech. I believe you should go with your gut. You should go with what you want to promote and report. But the truth of the matter is, just know how can I say this? Just here's the best part, though. None of the threats that I've gotten, and I told people this, and I'm very clear on this. Federal agents have reached out to me 3 times on both shows.
Wow.
So my point being is they're watching, and I tell people they're watching. So why threaten
Yeah,
me
sure.
when you know they're watching? That's kind of dumb. But anyway, so Jesse, the short
Obviously.
answer is go with the content that you're comfortable with. Go with what your heart is at, and really try to get to the truth. However, if you deem that there's any threats that are credible, you should go to law enforcement. Because what should you do? Risk your life for YouTube, or even
Yeah,
better,
I'm
if you're,
saying that because there's a
hold
lot
on,
of
I'm very
content.
lucky. Hold on, I'm very lucky that I hired J3 Global. Everybody makes fun of him that he's in the Mossad. The guy graduated from West Point. The guy served 20 years overseas for in intelligence. So I'm lucky I'm able to afford a high-end consultant. And what do? I get abused for it. And they're trying to mock somebody who served their country. That's what I'm saying, Jesse. The other part is, and this is the learning that I have, you got to be in the right space. This just isn't for me anymore. I said this for a while. If you kind of see me on the shows, I like doing the mob stuff on the business side of things. But
Yeah.
at this point, I'm waking up to like a rat face painted on my head on the meme. We're not 12, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
and
I
that's
mean,
why I asked you the question,
let
because
me
other
just answer
content
this.
creators have
Hold on.
gone down that road and they're
Hold
working with
on.
informants. So I wanted to ask you about that.
Hold
Yeah, go
on.
I
ahead,
mean,
Joe.
Angela
I believe in law and order, and I have an agent in my card game, and we talk all the time, and he tells me that it's their number one asset for pedophile rings, for terrorism, for organized crime. It's their number one resource. So I don't have a
Okay, let me
moral.
just answer this. Angela
Yeah.
said, "Really, Josie, it's obvious why you shouldn't have interviewed that woman." Well, from my perspective, what I thought was she knew who he was, that he and that she was mad at him and contacted him, and then he offered her on the show to say her piece. That's what I thought.
Well, on
And
top of it, she
I thought
requested it.
she already
She
knew.
requested it on top of it.
Right. Well, I already thought she knew that your affiliations
She
prior.
did. She
Yeah.
did, and it's in the she did, and
Because
it's in the
somebody
text she
else
sent me.
just asked that. Did the woman know in advance, or was she blindsided when you said,
No,
"Oh,
no,
you, oh,
she did, she did,
that's what she,
she did, and it's in the message she sent me.
right,
That's why she wanted to come on my. That's why I thought it was a little odd that she wanted to come out of my show versus many other shows that are against informants. I thought she
right,
would probably pick another show. I was a little surprised she picked mine, but
right,
again, I haven't. I listen. If anybody, I don't do a lot of lives. There are people that go on my lives and they abuse the heck out of me, and I do not. If you go to my blocked, I have like 2 people blocked that are 27,000 subs. I
right,
have and always have an open forum. I believe in free speech. Just
right.
no threats and
Mm-hmm.
just no
Right.
family. That's all.
Yeah, like you said, your head was on pictures and you weren't expecting that. But you've talked about the community. Do you think it's reached its peak and flatlined? Or like, what's your opinion? What does it need to excite and interest on
It's
new
on the
viewers?
decline. It's on the decline. You know
Yeah,
why?
so it's on the decline. So what do you think it needs to interest new viewers to come in besides
Well, they're
federal
not. They're
informants?
not. A lot of people are getting turned off, and you look at the creators. Most of the creators' subs are anemic. They're not growing because there's splits upon splits upon splits. And listen, you can have a community that's divided. You can have a community that doesn't align in terms of their values, but you could be disagreeable. You could disagree without being disagreeable. You know what I mean? Like you can be respectful, have an active disagreement. Nobody's up for debate. Nobody's up for a discussion. Nobody's up for the truth. If you don't disagree with me, you don't disagree with me, you are a bad person. That's that kind of leftist mentality that is entering this community, and it's bullshit.
Right. Well, yeah, I just wanted to ask you those questions because that's what I'm hearing, And I think it should be heard, because we're only hearing like one side of it. And there are things, even the MRE thing, the doxing thing, it was 2 years ago, but it's still there.
And not just that. I even talked to MRE when he came out as being doxxed, really doxxed, right? So he got really doxxed a long time
Were you
after.
behind that or no?
Absolutely not. If anything, I contributed him $100 that night.
Oh, okay.
Because you know why? Because I believe it's Voltaire who said, "I may not agree with what you're saying, but I'll die for the right for you to say it." I felt empathy towards him. I felt he had a mission, even though it didn't align with my mission. And I went ahead and I sent him $100. I did my own research on him. I talked to him directly. We had a very good and productive conversation. I just said, "Hey, man, listen, I'm not going to bring up the conversation, the nature of it." I said, "Here's what I found. Nothing against you. I just can't support you publicly. I just can't support you. Doesn't mean I'm not going to say anything bad." He says, "God bless you. Have a family. I fully understand why." We moved our separate ways, and not one peep was said on either side. And he will back me up on that. Then out of nowhere, I get a message. Somebody calls me up and says, "Hey, Mob Rat's doing a show on you. You text so-and-so about him and went to." That's what I'm saying. I stay in my lane. I don't bother people. My content has been changing. If people feel that, you know what, hey Tom, that was a little out of pocket for that interview, give me a call. I have my email open. I have an open forum. We can discuss it publicly.
Right.
I was very empathetic about it, and it was a very heavy interview. That's why I took it off my main thing and put it only on membership, and I probably will bury it forever. It was a tough interview.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking you about the situation with the interview, because, working with federal informants, that's why I'm asking you your advice to other content creators going down that road after what happened to you.
Well, but here's a problem.
Mob 2 viral.
But Jesse, here's the problem. We finally were able to hear from the other side for once. For the other side, I don't know. I really haven't heard directly from any victims. I haven't heard directly from other people, from families, other than maybe other creators. But somebody to call in and say, "Hey, I don't have access to my father, and he's being restricted, possibly because, God forbid, you have an Italian name and branded OC." That was also of interest to me. I think the First Step Act does not benefit Italians that are in jail. I feel they are not.
Well, yeah,
So
and YouTube and social media,
I wanted
any social media is not set up for them. It's set up for, pushing snitches, telling lies mostly, not real street guys.
Well, that's correct. So there needs to be a forum. And I know we push back in other forums to do it, but it's just, I have a bigger forum. I said, you know what? Let's have her on and let's have her say her piece. If it missed the mark, that wasn't my intent. I wanted to give her a voice. I believe I did.
So
and that's pretty much the end of it.
Kane Shades says, you know what you did was wrong. What do you think you did wrong, or do you think you didn't do anything wrong in that interview?
No, I feel empathy towards the interview I did, and I'm very empathetic towards her situation. And there's a piece of me that says, even though I want to get her voice out, am I really the one to do it? That's it.
Okay.
Now I try to keep.
All right.
Free speech is not free, right? And I try my best not to limit people coming in saying stupid things. I try to limit threats. I try to limit people bringing family. But people know I get abused in my comments. I get abused on my show in terms of me. I don't care about me. If it's constructive criticism, that's fine. But that's what I mean, Jesse. The day things are over before they're over. So if one person outside the community tries to come in and share her story and can't, that's when the party's over, Jess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on, Tom, and
my pleasure.
That. Tom. Thanks for your time, and take care of your family.
Thank you. Ciao.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Who's in the hospital? Oh, he's gone. Okay. So, what did you think to that?
Yeah, I think we got his side of the story of what's going on. I texted you. I wanted to just ask him a couple questions because I feel like he could answer them, being that he had a podcast with the ex-federal informant. He would know better than anyone else, about what would happen to you, or how people see you, or how you be attacked
Right,
because of that.
right, right. Well, I think it was right that he say his part.
Right.
I honestly thought. I think what he was trying to do is have a show where you can just have anyone like Vlad does, but when you do it that way, you have to remain impartial. And because he hasn't remained impartial, it looks like he kind of makes friends with the informants and stuff like that. I'm sure Vlad makes friends with them behind the scenes.
Right.
I mean, he's
I
very.
understand that, and I
I mean,
never watched the interview, so that's why I never asked him about that
Well,
or wanted
I
to talk
forgot.
about
There
that.
was a question I forgot to ask him, because on Kane Shade's show, there's video of him in the car with Panisi, and Panisi's talking about ambulance, wife, and banging the bed, and they're all laughing. That also made me think, wait a minute, because I don't think that's very professional if
Or
you're.
impartial, yeah, like you're
And
saying.
it's not impartial. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah, and he played that a few times, and I thought, because if anything, I wouldn't have put that video up
Yeah.
had I've been Tom. But there
Well,
you
I
go.
never watched it, but what I've been told is that that's what he was doing. Is he was basically the reason why people were mad at him is because he was taking Panisi's side, and I thought maybe that's why he was being attacked.
Well,
But
that's what it sounded like to me. Hi, down Nick.
so if,
Sorry, I haven't seen you.
but he came on here and he said that he was basically being impartial and he's in the middle, so we could hear both sides of the story.
Right, yeah, in this instance, yeah, but there were parts to that video that Kane Shades showed that showed it as not impartial, and then I just wondered why that lady, if she knew in advance that his affiliations, why did she get so angry and jump off? See, if it had been me, I would have cussed his ass out right then and there. If I'd have been blindsided with that, especially if my father, he's 88, he's got long COVID, he's all the way over in Kentucky. I hate the way they do that, and I've been through that where I've had to go all around England. You know what I mean? And so and they tend to do that. But I think with an 88-year-old man that's sick, bring him back to New York so he can see his family, for Christ's sake.
Yes.
I think that's horrible.
Well,
And
that's why we got both sides of the story. He came up here and said she did know about that before she got on, and I mean,
Yeah,
it could
well,
possibly be the fact that she's not used to getting up here and talking, and after she started talking about it, maybe she thought about what she was saying, and they
right.
both,
Yeah,
they agreed to disagree, basically.
yeah. Hey, Angel. So she said you're okay with him.
Maybe someone else wants to come up here and say what they think.
Yeah, I'll drop the link one more time and then I'm going to jump off. I just wanted to do this quickly because it's been aggravating me.
Right.
Because I always kind of liked Tom, and I thought, what the hell? And then it's like one thing after another, and I think, well, nobody's really asked him, so let's ask
Well,
him.
basically, what I wanted to get down to with him is now he said it. He said he has his head and his face on, memes and people making fun of him, and I just wanted to
Really?
see
I haven't seen all
what,
that. Yeah.
and people threatening his family. So my basic question to him was, is all of this worth it working for an informant? So when other people hear it that are thinking about going down this road or are actually content creators now working with informants, they can see what's going to happen or what's down the road.
Yeah. If she knew, then I guess, yeah, I mean, that was my burning question. Was she blindsided? Did she have no idea? And I think if she didn't have an idea, that's pretty shitty. Yeah.
Right.
And so that's really what I wanted to ask him. And did he dox MRE, and was he behind that? And was he behind the feds going to his house? And he's answered all of that. So that's
I
it.
think as far as everything else goes, everyone can agree to disagree and hopefully just find some middle ground and with attacks.
I don't know. Some people are pretty upset with him, and but I hadn't heard him respond or say anything. So I wanted to know his thoughts on it and ask him the burning questions, people wanted to ask him. So, that's about it. Anyway, so this is just a quickie midweek thing. I'll be on at the weekend to do the weekly roundup and see you all then. I don't know who else is on tonight or whatever, but I'm going to try and what's happened is, I've been working late. I barely see a live. I always see it like the next day, the next morning. By the time I get in and eat, I'm tired and I end up falling asleep. So I've missed a whole bunch of stuff, as they're happening. I kind of catch up the next day, but I'm going to try and stay up tonight and watch a few. So we'll see. All right.
Josie, thanks for having me on. Everyone in the chat. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for everyone being here, and I guess it's something to talk about. I don't know what you all think, but we'll see. Okay, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.